Have you ever had one of those days? You know, you wake up, you look in the mirror, and you just don't recognize the number? Maybe you feel fantastic, full of energy, like you're 25 again, even though your driver's license, well, it tells a different story. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you've just hit 30, but you feel tired, achy. You feel older than the candles on your last birthday cake. What if I told you that feeling, that disconnect, is one of the most profound and important truths about your own health? What if I told you that the number of birthdays you've had, your chronological age, is one of the least interesting things about you? It's true. We are obsessed with that number. It dictates when we can drive, when we can vote, when we should retire. But it's just a measure of how many times the Earth has gone around the sun since you were born. It's a measure of time. It's not a measure of you. Deep inside you, right now, there is another clock. A hidden clock. A clock that ticks to a completely different beat. It doesn't measure time, it measures biology. It measures wear and tear. It measures how, well, your body is aging, not just how long. This is your biological age. And understanding this clock, well, it changes everything. Welcome, my friends, to our journey tonight. We are going to pull back the curtain on one of the deepest mysteries of human life, the mystery of your biological age. And trust me, what we're going to uncover is going to blow your mind. It's not just theory. This is a revolution in how we understand our own bodies. But before we dive into this rabbit hole, and oh, it is a deep one, I need you to do me a huge favor. If you love exploring big ideas like this, if you want to understand the code of your own life, please take a second, right now, and hit that like button. It's like a little dose of dopamine for the channel, and it tells the YouTube robots that we're doing something right. And if you're new here, or if you've been lurking for a while, consider this your official invitation. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're building a community of curious minds here, and we absolutely want you to be a part of it. And one more thing, this is really important for our experiment tonight. I want to know who I'm talking to. In the comments below, I want you to tell me two things. First, where in the world are you watching this from? Are you in London at noon? Are you in Manila at 3 a.m.? And second, what time is it for you right now? I love seeing this global family of thinkers come together, from all corners of the globe, at all hours of the day and night. So pause, comment with your location and your time, and then come right back. Okay. Are you back? Did you do it? Awesome. Let's get started. So, this idea of biological age, let's unpack that. We all know someone who's 60 but looks and acts 40. They hike, they're sharp, they have this vitality. And we all know someone who's 40 but seems run down. They're plagued by little health issues, they're always tired. The difference between them isn't their chronological age, it's their biological age. Think of it like two identical cars, both from the same model year, say, 2010. One car was kept in a garage, got regular oil changes, was driven gently, and was meticulously cared for. The other car was left out in the snow, used for drag racing, never had its oil changed, and was generally abused. In 2025, both cars are chronologically 15 years old. But biologically? The first car runs like it's brand new. The second car is a clunker, ready for the scrap heap. Its car age is much, much higher. Your body is that car. Your chronological age is just the model year. Your biological age is the actual condition of the engine, the transmission, the chassis. And this matters. It matters more than almost anything else. Because your biological age is the single best predictor of your health span. Not just your lifespan, the total number of years you're alive, but your health span, the number of those years you are healthy, vibrant, and free from disease. Who wants to live to be 100 if the last 30 years are spent in a fog of illness? The goal isn't just to add years to life, it's to add life to years. And that is the promise of understanding biological age. So, how do we measure this? How do we look under the hood? For a long time, scientists had a few clues. One of the most famous ones you've probably heard about is telomeres. Now, this is a great place to start, because it's a really good analogy. Inside every one of your cells, you have your DNA, your chromosomes. And at the very tip of each chromosome, there's a little protective cap. Think of it like the little plastic or metal tip on the end of your shoelace, called an aglet. That aglet, the telomere, it stops the shoelace, your DNA, from fraying, from unraveling, from getting damaged every time the cell divides. Here's the catch. Every single time a cell copies itself, those little telomere caps get just a tiny bit shorter. It's like a little clock ticking down. After about 50 or 60 divisions, the telomeres become critically short. The aglet is gone. The cell looks at this and says, "Oh, my DNA is now unprotected. If I divide again, I might make a terrible, cancerous mistake." So, the cell does one of two things. It either enters a state of senescence, it becomes a non-dividing zombie cell that sticks around and causes inflammation, or it triggers its own self-destruct button, a process called apoptosis. This fraying of the shoelaces, this shortening of telomeres, is a huge part of aging. And for a while we thought, that's it. That's the clock. We've found it. If we can just figure out how to keep telomeres long, we'll live forever. But it's not that simple. Nature is never that simple. It turns out, telomere length is only one of the clocks. It's an important one, for sure, but it's like trying to tell the time for the whole day just by looking at the second hand. You're missing the minute hand and the hour hand. There are other, more powerful, more profound clocks ticking away inside you. It's a whole new layer of information on top of your genes. This brings us to the real star of our show tonight, epigenetics. This is a word you're going to be hearing a lot about for the rest of your life. So, let's break it down. Epi is a Greek prefix that means above, or on top of. Genetics is, your genes, your DNA. So, epigenetics means above the genes. It's not the DNA code itself, but the system that controls the code. Here's my favorite analogy for this. Think of your DNA, your entire genome, as a massive, beautifully written cookbook. This cookbook has about 25,000 recipes, or genes. One recipe is for blue eyes. Another recipe is for how to digest milk. Another recipe is for building a muscle cell. Another one is for how to be a liver cell. Every single cell in your body, your heart cell, your skin cell, your brain cell, has the exact same cookbook. The entire cookbook. Now, this raises a question, doesn't it? If your skin cell and your brain cell have the exact same cookbook, why isn't your skin cell trying to think? Why isn't your eyeball trying to grow hair? How does a cell know what it's supposed to be? The answer is epigenetics. The epigenome is the chef. The chef goes into the kitchen, the cell, with the giant cookbook, the DNA, and decides which recipes to use. The chef for a skin cell opens the cookbook and puts sticky notes and paper clips on all the skin cell recipes. Things like make keratin, create pigment, form a protective barrier. And just as importantly, the chef slams the book shut on all the other recipes. The brain cell recipes, the liver cell recipes, they are all closed off. The chef says, "We will not be making neurotransmitters in this kitchen." This system of sticky notes, of opening and closing recipes, that is epigenetics. It's the layer of control. It's what creates the symphony of life from the written notes. It's what turns a single fertilized egg into, well, you, with all your complex and specialized parts. So how does the chef, how does the epigenome, actually do this? How does it put a sticky note on a gene? Well, it doesn't use 3M. It uses chemistry. And the main, number one, most studied mechanism, the one that forms the basis of our biological clock, is called DNA methylation. It sounds complicated, but the concept is beautiful. Your DNA, as you know, is a long string of 4 letters, or bases A, T, C, and G. Now, all through your DNA, you have spots where a C, cytosine, is right next to a G, guanine. Scientists, in their shorthand, call these CPG sites. P just means phosphate, which is the part of the DNA backbone that links them. So, CPG. Now, the cell has this tiny little molecule it can use, called a methyl group. It's just a little bit of carbon and hydrogen. And the cell can take this methyl group and stick it, like a little molecular hat, or a sticky note, right onto the C in that CPG site. This is the key. When a gene, a recipe, is clean and open, the cell can read it and make the protein. The recipe is on. But when the cell wants to turn off that recipe, to silence that gene, it sends in enzymes that plaster the beginning of that gene, the promoter region, with these methyl groups. It's like putting a bunch of do not read or access denied sticky notes all over the first page of the recipe. The cell's machinery, the part that reads the DNA, comes along, sees all these methyl groups, and just can't. It can't latch on. It can't read the gene. The gene has been silenced. This isn't a bad thing. This is essential. This is how your skin cell silences the brain genes. This is how your body controls which recipes are on and which are off, in which cell, at which time. It's the off switch. So, what does this have to do with aging? Well, in the 2010s, a scientist named Dr. Steve Horvath, and others, like Dr. Greg Henham, made a monumental discovery. They were looking at these methylation patterns, these sticky notes, in thousands of people, from newborns to supercentenarians. And they realized something. As we get older, this beautiful, pristine pattern of sticky notes, it gets messy. Think about it like this. When you're born, your cookbook is pristine. The chef is super precise. The skin recipes are open here. The brain recipes are closed there. It's perfect. But as you live your life, as you're exposed to, well, everything, as your cells divide and divide and divide, the chef gets a little tired. A little sloppy. When the cell copies its DNA, it also has to copy the epigenetic pattern. It has to put all the sticky notes back in the exact same places. And it's really, really good at this, but it's not perfect. Every so often, a sticky note gets put in the wrong place. Or, a sticky note that was supposed to be there, isn't. What happens is a drift. Over decades, some of the off switches, the methyl groups, they fall off. So, genes that were supposed to be silent, suddenly start to get leaky. They whisper. They're on at a low level when they shouldn't be. This creates noise, chaos, and dysfunction in the cell. And, at the same time, the cell starts sticking new methyl groups, new off switches, in places where they shouldn't be. Maybe it starts to slowly silence a gene that's really important for, say, DNA repair. Or a gene that helps protect you from inflammation. This is the true clock. Dr. Horvath found that he could look at the methylation status, sticky note on or sticky note off, at about 353 specific CPG sites in your genome, and from that pattern alone, he could predict your chronological age with terrifying accuracy. Like plus or minus just a few years. It didn't matter what tissue he looked at, blood, skin, brain, the pattern held. He had found the hour hand of aging. This is the epigenetic clock. So, your chronological age is how many times the Earth went around the Sun. Your biological age is the state of your epigenome. It's a measure of how messy your cookbook has become. How much noise has crept into the system. How well your chef is still following the instructions. And this epigenetic clock is a far, far better predictor of your health than your telomeres, or your chronological age, or just about anything else. If your epigenetic clock says you are older than your driver's license, if your biological age is accelerated, that is the single strongest predictor of whether you're going to get age-related diseases like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, or cancer. And it's the strongest predictor of when you will die. It's the ultimate readout of your car's condition. Now, briefly, the outline mentioned other markers. Methylation is the big one, the one the clocks are based on. But it's not the only epigenetic trick the chef has. Remember how I said the cookbook is in the kitchen? Well, that cookbook is huge. Your DNA, if you stretched it all out from one cell, is like 6 feet long. To fit it inside a microscopic nucleus, it has to be packaged incredibly tightly. So, the DNA thread is wrapped around these little protein spools called histones. Think of it like wrapping thread around a bunch of little beads. This whole DNA plus histone bundle is called chromatin. And this is the other major way the chef controls the recipes. If the chef wants to really silence a whole chapter of the cookbook, he doesn't just put sticky notes on it. He tells the spools, the histones, to wind up that section of DNA super tight. So tight that the reading machinery physically cannot get in. The recipe is not just off, it's packed away in the attic. Conversely, if the chef wants to use a recipe, he sends a signal to those histones to loosen up. To unwind the DNA thread from the spool, making it accessible, open, and ready to be read. This, too, is epigenetics. The histone code. And, just like with methylation, as we get older, this system gets sloppy. The spools get wound too tight in some places, and too loose in others. Genes that should be packed away become accessible, and genes that should be open get shut down. More noise. More chaos. The symphony turns into a cacophony. Okay. I need to take a breath. Because this is where the entire story pivots. So far, this might sound a little depressing. Great. So my DNA cookbook is getting messy, my spools are getting sloppy, and this epigenetic drift is an unavoidable countdown to disease and death. Thanks for that. But no. That is not the story. Because you've been missing one, absolutely critical, earth-shattering piece of the puzzle. The most important part. The chef, the epigenome, the system of sticky notes and spools. It's not in a vacuum. It is listening. It is reacting. What is it listening to? You. Your lifestyle. Your choices. Your environment. Everything you do, every single day, is a signal that you are sending to the chefs in your trillions of cells. You are, in effect, telling the chef how to mark up the cookbook. This is the central thesis. Your epigenome is your lifestyle's fingerprint. Your DNA, the recipes themselves, that's written in pen. You got that from your parents. It's mostly fixed. But your epigenome, the sticky notes, that's written in pencil. Let me say that again. Your epigenome is written in pencil. It's dynamic. It's malleable. It's influenceable. This is where all the power lies. This is the mechanism by which healthy living actually works. It's not magic. It's not a vague idea. It is epigenetics. Let's break this down. Let's take the big three: diet, exercise, and stress. First, diet. You're not just eating calories. You're not just eating protein, fat, and carbs. You are eating information. You are, quite literally, eating molecules that will directly participate in your epigenetic machinery. Remember those methyl groups? The little sticky notes? Where does your body get them? It has to make them. And the key ingredients come from your food. Specifically, B vitamins like folate. When you eat leafy greens, spinach, kale, broccoli, you are consuming folate. Your body takes that folate and, through a beautiful chemical assembly line, turns it into a molecule called SAM, S-adenosylmethionine. SAM. SAM is the ink. SAM is the pen that the chef uses to write the methyl sticky notes. SAM is the master methyl donor in the body. So, what happens if your diet is poor in these B vitamins? Your body runs low on ink. The chef tries to put the off switches where they belong, to silence those junk DNA bits, to keep the chaos down, but the pen is dry. The chef can't do the job properly. The pattern of methylation immediately starts to drift. Conversely, you can flood the system. But it's not just about the ink. It's about the instructions. Certain foods contain compounds that are epigenetic signals all by themselves. That broccoli I mentioned? It doesn't just have folate. It has a magical compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is a powerful signal. It talks to the histones. It's an HDC inhibitor, which is a fancy way of saying it tells the chef to loosen the spools on some of your body's most powerful, protective recipes. It turns on your internal antioxidant genes. It turns on your detoxification pathways. It tells the chef, hey, Activate the Protect the Body chapter. Now let's flip it. What about a donut? And a sugary soda? This is also information. But it's terrible information. A massive, sudden spike in blood sugar is an alarm bell. It's a 5-alarm fire for the body. It screams inflammation. And inflammation, chronic inflammation, is perhaps the worst thing for your epigenome. It's like having a loud, obnoxious, heavy metal band playing in the kitchen, 24/7, while the chef is trying to delicately conduct a symphony. The chef freaks out. The chef gets panicked. The chef starts making tons of mistakes. The sticky notes go everywhere. The spools get tangled. The accelerated aging switch gets flipped on. Chronic inflammation drives epigenetic drift. And the standard modern diet, high in sugar, processed grains, and seed oils, is a machine for producing chronic inflammation. So your food, every single bite, is a direct epigenetic instruction. Make me younger. Or make me older. Protect me, or panic. Second, exercise. You think you're just building muscle or burning calories. That's not even half the story. Exercise is, perhaps, the most potent epigenetic medicine we have ever discovered. When you exercise, your muscles scream for energy. They send out a flood of molecules, signals, that tell the entire body to change. It's like a drill sergeant blowing a whistle for the whole barracks. Wake up! Get to work! This whistle has profound epigenetic consequences. Exercise tells the chef to silence inflammatory genes. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory. It tells the chef to increase the methylation, the off switches, on genes that promote fat storage. It also tells the chef to remove the off switches from genes that repair your DNA. Think about that. Exercise is literally telling your cells, hey, let's go back and proofread the cookbook. Let's fix the typos. Let's clean up the messy notes. It changes your histone spools. It makes your cells better at unlocking the good recipes, like burning fat for fuel, and better at packing away the bad ones. The noise in the system, the sloppiness, decreases. A single bout of exercise has been shown to immediately change the methylation patterns in your muscle cells. You are, in real time, rewriting your epigenome for the better. You are slowing down the clock. And finally, number 3, stress. And its beautiful counterpart, sleep. This is the big one. This is the invisible one. You have a terrible boss. You're in a bad relationship. You're worried about money. You scroll doom on your phone all night. Your body, your ancient, saber-toothed tiger survival machine, doesn't know the difference between my boss yelled at me and a tiger is trying to eat me. The alarm system is the same. It's called cortisol, the stress hormone. A little cortisol is fine. It wakes you up in the morning. But chronic stress, the kind that never, ever lets up, is like leaving that tiger alarm bell ringing, 24/7. And just like inflammation, this is disastrous for the chef. Cortisol is the loudest, most obnoxious signal of all. It directly attaches to your DNA and forces the chef to play the emergency music. Shut down long-term projects, like your immune system or digestion. Pump out sugar for immediate energy. No time for repair or maintenance. This maintenance, this repair, this is exactly the process that keeps your epigenome clean. So, chronic stress is like telling your body's proofreaders and cleanup crews that they're non-essential workers. You are telling them to go home. The result? The typos accumulate. The messy sticky notes pile up. The spools get tangled. Your biological age screeches forward. Studies have shown, unequivocally, that chronic stress accelerates epigenetic aging. It is literally taking years off your life, or at least, life off your years, by fast-forwarding the messy cookbook process. And sleep? Sleep is when the cleanup crew is supposed to work. When the noise of the day, the cortisol, the inflammation signals, finally goes quiet. That's when the proofreaders, DNA repair enzymes, and the janitors, a process called autophagy, or self-eating, where the cell cleans up its broken parts, can finally get to work. When you don't sleep, you're robbing the kitchen of its cleanup crew. The mess from yesterday just piles on top of the mess from the day before. The epigenetic drift, the sloppiness, it just compounds, night after night. This isn't your destiny. This isn't just what you inherit. This is the key. The dynamic nature of epigenetics means that you are the primary author of your cellular health. Your genes, the cookbook, that's the what? But your epigenome, the chef's notes, that's the how. And your lifestyle is the boss, constantly giving the chef new instructions. We have proof of this. The most famous examples come from identical twins. Identical twins are natural clones. They are born with the exact same cookbook, the exact same DNA. And when they're young, their epigenomes, their sticky note patterns, are virtually identical. But then, life happens. One twin moves to the city, becomes a high-stress lawyer, smokes, eats fast food, and never exercises. The other twin becomes a yoga instructor in a quiet town, eats a plant-based diet, and meditates every day. Fast forward 30 years. You look at them. They don't even look like twins anymore. The lawyer looks 20 years older than the yoga instructor. Their DNA is still identical. But their epigenomes? They are wildly different. The lawyer's biological clock is spinning out of control. The yoga instructor's clock is ticking along slowly, calmly. This isn't a sci-fi scenario. This is real. This is the lifestyle fingerprint. You are leaving that fingerprint on your own genes, with every choice you make. With the food you eat. With the walk you take. With the deep breath you take. With the hour you decide to go to bed. This is the most empowering message in all of modern medicine. You are not a victim of your genes. You are the conductor of their expression. So, if the epigenome is written in pencil, and we can hold the pencil, through our lifestyle, that leads to the next mind-blowing question. Can science find a giant eraser? If our cookbook gets messy over time, the best question here is, can we force a factory reset? Can we reverse biological age? Welcome, my friends, to the absolute cutting edge. This isn't just theory. This is the dream that is driving billions of dollars in research right now. This is the dream of an epigenetic age reset. To understand this, we have to go back to 2006. A Japanese scientist named Dr. Shinya Yamanaka was trying to solve a different problem. He wanted to make stem cells, those magical, do-anything cells, without having to use embryos. He was trying to take a regular, adult specialized cell, like a skin cell, and turn it back into a blank slate. He was trying to take the chef, who had spent a lifetime learning to only make skin recipes, and tell him, forget everything you know. He figured it had to be epigenetics. He had to erase all the sticky notes, all the paper clips, all the attic boxes. He had to take the messy, well-used, specialized cookbook and make it pristine again, like it was on day one. After years of trial and error, he found the magic combination. It was, incredibly, just four specific genes. 4 recipes that, when turned on, force-fed to the cell, acted as a master reset button. He took an old skin cell. He switched on these 4 genes. And it worked. The cell's entire epigenetic landscape was erased. All the sticky notes were gone. All the histones were loosened. The cell, it forgot it was a skin cell. It de-aged. It reverted all the way back to an embryonic-like stem cell. A pluripotent cell, meaning it could now, once again, become any cell in the body. It's one of the most profound discoveries in the history of biology. It proved that the epigenetic specialization, and by extension, the aging, of a cell, is not a one-way street. It can be reversed. Dr. Yamanaka won the Nobel Prize for this in 2012. And these 4 genes are now known, forever, as the Yamanaka factors. Now, for a while, this was just a tool. A way to make stem cells in a lab. Because, you can't just inject the Yamanaka factors into a person. Why? Well, what happens when you take a cell, erase all of its instructions, and tell it to just grow like it's a new embryo? You get a tumor. A specific kind, called a teratoma. You get cancer. A full reset is fatal. It's like formatting the entire hard drive, while the computer is trying to run the operating system. You get chaos. So, the dream sat there for a while. Too dangerous. Until a new generation of scientists, people like Dr. David Sinclair at Harvard, Dr. Juan Carlos Pizua Belmonte at the Salk Institute, they asked a different question. A smarter question. Okay, a full reset is a bomb. It's too much. But what if we don't hold the reset button down? What if we just tap it? This is the new frontier. It's called partial reprogramming. The central idea is the pulsing of Yamanaka factors, turning them on for a short time, say 1 or 2 days, and then off again. This is hypothesized to give the cell, or the chef, just enough of a jolt to clean up the mess, erasing the sloppy, epigenetic errors, the sticky notes, without erasing the essential cellular identity, the "you are a skin cell. Do not become a tooth" instruction. The goal is to rejuvenate the cell, making it functionally younger without making it lose its specialized identity. The first groundbreaking experiments were in mice. They took mice that were progeric, genetically engineered to age at superfast speed. These mice were old, frail, with curved spines and thinning fur. They were at the end of their lives. The researchers, they pulsed the Yamanaka factors. And the mice got younger. Their spines straightened. Their cardiovascular health improved. Their fur grew back. They lived 30% to 50% longer. They didn't just live longer, they were healthier for longer. They had been rejuvenated. This sent a shockwave through the entire field of biology. It was the first time age reversal had moved from science fiction to a plausible, biological mechanism. The next, and maybe even more stunning, experiment was on vision. As we get older, or if we get diseases like glaucoma, the nerve cells that connect our eye to our brain, the optic nerve, they get damaged. They get old. They lose their ability to repair themselves. And a dead nerve is dead. Blindness is permanent. That's been medical dogma for ever. A team at Harvard, led by David Sinclair, they took old mice. Mice who had lost their vision due to this kind of nerve damage. Their cookbook in those nerve cells was messy. The repair recipes were silenced, methylated, shut down, packed away in the attic. The team, they injected the Yamanaka factors, just 3 of them, in this case, into the eyes of these blind, old mice. They pulsed the factors. They tapped the reset button. And the mice could see again. The tapping had been just enough. It erased the messy methylation. It loosened the spools. The cookbook in those old nerve cells, it reopened the repair chapter. The youthful gene expression program, the one that new nerve cells have, the one that tells them how to regrow and repair, it switched back on. The cells didn't forget they were nerve cells. They just remembered how to be young nerve cells. I mean, just sit with that for a second. They didn't just slow aging. They didn't just stop it. They reversed it. They took an old tissue and made it young again. This is the dream. So, is true rejuvenation possible? The answer in a lab, in a mouse, appears to be yes. The exciting potential is, well, it's everything. It's not about living to be 500. It's about, what if you got glaucoma, and your doctor gave you rejuvenation eye drops, and your vision came back? What if you had a heart attack, and we could reprogram the scar tissue in your heart to be young, healthy, beating heart muscle again? What if we could reset the biological age of your immune system, so that when you're 80, your immune system is as robust and clean as a 30-year-old's, able to fight off infections and cancer? This isn't immortality. This is health span. This is compressing morbidity. This is making the end of life as healthy and vital as the middle. But, and this is a gargantuan but, there are the ethical considerations. This is the conversation of the 21st century. First, safety. We're talking about resetting the operating system of your cells. We're pulsing factors that, if left on, cause cancer. What if we get the dose wrong? What if tapping the button, in a human, accidentally holds it down in a few cells? How do we ensure we're rejuvenating, and not igniting 1,000 tiny tumors? The safety hurdle is the first and highest one. We are not there yet. This is not ready for your local clinic. But let's fast forward 10, 20 years. We solve the safety issue. We have a rejuvenation shot. Who gets it? This is going to be unbelievably expensive. At first. Will it be like everything else in medicine? The rich get younger, and the poor just get old? What does society look like when we have a literal, biological bifurcation? When the 1% is not just richer, but are biologically younger? When a CEO is 120 years old, but looks and feels 40? While the person cleaning their office is 60 and, well, 60? The potential for dystopia is immense. The resentment. The injustice. And what about society? Our entire social structure is based on a finite lifespan. You're born, you learn, you work, you contribute, you have a family, you retire, you pass on, and you make room for the next generation. What happens when the retire and pass on parts are postponed indefinitely? What happens to the job market when the generation in charge never leaves? Where is the room for new ideas? For young people to rise? What happens to resources? To overpopulation? If people stop dying, but we keep having babies, our planet is already groaning. And what does it do to our humanity? To our drive? Would you try as hard? Would you love as deeply? Would you rush to see the world if you knew you had 500 years? Or does our mortality, the very fact that it ends, give life its meaning? Its preciousness? Its urgency? These are not science questions. These are philosophy questions. These are moral questions. And we need to start asking them, now. Because the science is moving at the speed of light. So, what's actually happening now? In 2025? Well, the human clinical trials are just beginning. They are not using Yamanaka factors yet. That's still mostly in the lab. The current human approaches are a little gentler. One major branch is senolytics. This is a fascinating idea. Remember those zombie cells I mentioned? The ones that get old, their telomeres get short, or their epigenome gets too messy, and they stop dividing, but they refuse to die. That's senescence. These zombie senescent cells, they don't just sit there. They are nasty. They scream. They pump out a cloud of inflammatory signals, a goop, that poisons all the healthy cells around them. They accelerate the aging of their neighbors. They are the bad apple that spoils the whole barrel. And, it turns out, we accumulate these zombies as we get older. So, the idea of senolytics is, what if we could just kill the zombies? What if we could find a magic bullet drug that only targets and kills senescent cells, leaving the healthy cells alone? Well, we have. There are drugs, like a combination of dasatinib and quercetin, that seem to do exactly this. In mice, giving them these drugs, it's like a power wash for their tissues. Their inflammation plummets. Their health span dramatically improves. And the human trials are underway. For osteoarthritis, zombie cells in the knee. For Alzheimer's. For idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. We are right on the cusp of seeing if clearing the zombies can reverse or at least halt major age-related diseases in us. Another big one is metformin. This is bizarre. Metformin is one of the oldest, cheapest, and most prescribed drugs on Earth. It's a frontline treatment for type 2 diabetes. And, by accident, we noticed that diabetics who take metformin seem to be protected from everything. They get less cancer. They get less heart disease. They get less Alzheimer's. In fact, they seem to live longer than healthy, non-diabetic people who don't take it. What is going on? Well, no one is 100% sure, but it seems metformin is a gentle epigenetic tuner. It's not a sledgehammer like the Yamanaka factors. It's subtle. It seems to mimic some of the good epigenetic signals of fasting and exercise. It calms down the chef. It reduces the noise. It improves the proofreading. It seems to slow down the epigenetic clock. And so, right now, there's a massive clinical trial, the TAME trial, targeting aging with metformin, trying to prove for the first time that aging itself can be treated. That we can give a pill that slows aging. If that trial is successful, it changes everything. It proves that aging is not an inevitable, fixed process. It's a malleable, biological process. A disease that can be treated. And that is a paradigm shift or all of human medicine. Which brings us to the future of longevity and health. What does all this mean for you? For your kids? The sci-fi stuff, the Yamanaka factors, the senolytics that's coming. It's exciting. It's terrifying. And it's mostly out of our hands. It's in the labs. But the real immediate future is personalized medicine. The future right now is that you can test your own epigenetic clock. You can buy a biological age test. You spit in a tube, or you give a drop of blood, you send it to a lab, and they will read your methylation patterns. They will read your sticky notes. And they will tell you your chronological age is 45. But your biological age is 52. And that is a wake-up call. But it's not a death sentence. Because, remember, it's written in pencil. The real power is not just getting the number. It's tracking the number. It's okay. My biological age is 52. That's bad. I'm accelerated. Okay. For the next 6 months, I am going to change my lifestyle. I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm going to start walking 10,000 steps a day. I am going to meditate 10 minutes a day to manage my stress. I am going to make sleep my number one priority. And in 6 months you test again. And your new test comes back. Chronological age is 45 and a half. Biological age 49. You reverse your age. You wound back your clock. This is the future of medicine. It's not one size fits all. It's not here's a pill for your symptom. It's you measuring your own deep biology in real time. It's you making tailored, personalized lifestyle interventions and seeing, proving, and quantifying that they are working. Your doctor, in the future, won't just ask you about your diet. They will look at your epigenetic report. Mr. Smith, I see your methylation patterns in this inflammatory pathway are way off. Your chef is panicking in this part of the kitchen. Let's not just give you an anti-inflammatory drug. Let's tailor a food plan rich in sulforaphane and omega-3s that we know epigenetically silences that specific pathway. Let's target the chef, not the symptom. That is the future. The ethical landscape of that is also tricky. What about privacy? Your epigenome is intimate. It's a record of everything. Of the stress you've been under. Of whether you smoke. Of your diet. It's a truth teller. Who gets to see that? Your insurance company? Oh, sorry, Mr. Smith, your biological age is 15 years older than your chronological age. Your lifestyle fingerprint is a mess. We're going to triple your premiums. Your employer? Well, we have 2 candidates for this high-stress CO job. Let's pull their epigenetic clocks. The potential for discrimination based on our internal clocks is profound. And just like with the genetic revolution, we as a society are way behind the science. We don't have the laws, the rules, and the protections in place for the epigenetic revolution that is already here. So, we come to the end. We've been all over the map. From tiny shoelace tips to giant moral questions. What is the takeaway? What do you do tonight? The sci-fi stuff, the reprogramming, it's fascinating. It's hopeful. It's coming. But don't wait for the magic rejuvenation shot. You don't have to. You right now, this very second, are empowered. You have the tools. You are the pianist. You are the chef. You are the boss of your epigenome. You have the pencil. The actionable insight is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. It's everything your grandmother told you. Eat your vegetables. You are eating epigenetic instructions. Go outside and play. You are writing anti-inflammatory code with every step. Take a deep breath and calm down. You are telling the chef to stop panicking. And please, for the love of everything, go to bed on time. You are scheduling the nightly cleanup crew for your entire cookbook. This is not soft advice. This is the hardest science. The choices you make every single day are literally biologically slowing or accelerating your aging clock. You are the steward of your own cellular health. And that is the greatest mystery and the greatest power of all. Thank you. Thank you so much for going on this incredibly long, and I hope, fascinating journey with me tonight. I looked down at my own clock and wow. We really did go deep. If you are still here with me after all of that, you are my kind of person. Thank you. My brain is buzzing. I hope yours is too. I see the where and when comments still rolling in. It is truly humbling to see this global community all thinking together. Well, the time here has definitely gotten away from me. It's late. And I need to go to schedule my own cleanup crew. So, wherever you are, whatever time it is on your clock, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or your evening. And for me and for all of you in this time zone, goodbye. And good night.